Hello, I am Pat Gillum Sams, the founder and CEO of the Sister Covenant. What is the Sister Covenant? It is a platform for purposed and powerful women to empower and inspire other powerful women of color. Black women are resilient. We nurture the world, our families, our spouses, our children, our communities, the boardroom, and everything in between. But who fills our cup? I often am reminded of when we fly, we're told to put our oxygen mask on first. And that is what the Sister Covenant is all about. It's a safe space for authentic dialogue between sisters, my friends, your friends, all of our friends, coming together for a time such as this. Join me Sunday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, first, third, and fifth Sundays for the Sister Covenant, a safe space to laugh a lot, cry a little, and fill your cup. Hello and welcome to the second anniversary of the Sister Covenant. I am super excited for the time we're going to spend. We're going to do things just a little bit different today, with this being our anniversary podcast. And I am super excited to have one of my dearest longtime friends, sorority sisters, line sisters that we're going to talk to this morning. But before we get there, as always, I want to thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with us for 2 years. 2 years of a journey of empowering women all around this country. You can still be a part of the Sister Circle by going on your device, your computer, your laptop, and opening Facebook on your phone or computer and searching the Sister Covenant. Find the Groups tab, click on the group title, the Sister Circle, click Join Group, and your request will be accepted shortly. You will get push outs of information about the Sister Covenant, like our 2nd year anniversary that happened on the 1st, and you will be in the know so you can be empowered and you can empower other women all around the country. Sisters, you can be a sustaining sister or a sister's keeper by sowing a seed into the Sister Covenant. These brilliant, bold, beautiful women, ride or die sisters for 20, 30, 40 years, like the one I'm going to talk with shortly, are the reason the Sister Covenant is still here, relevant 2 years later. It's an opportunity for powerful sisters to support our journey to empowering every woman of color. So we invite you to be a sister's keeper, a sustaining sister, by contacting us at thesistercovenant.com. I want to share with you our sustaining sisters that, again, have been my ride or die for 20, 30, 40 years, many of which you saw in the opening video. They're right there on the screen, and I love them all madly, and I thank them for being a part of this journey. And of course, our sisters keepers, our sponsors, Brenda Jackson, New York Times best-selling author, Melissa Fulmore Hardwick, founder, Brown girls in the boardroom, the Sister Accord, Sonia Jackson Miles, and of course, my dear friend, Dr. Lorraine Polite Clark with Today's Dentistry and Sutel Dental, and of course, the Legacy Group, the Legacy League, and yours truly for being on this journey again for 2 years. Now, I have the pleasure, the sheer pleasure of introducing a dear friend of mine, Julie Williamson. Julie and I met some, oh my gosh, 38 years ago. We were both two when we met at Florida State University. And we met online. We were line sisters as we both pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. The year was 1980. And she is a beautiful soul and has been a beautiful, beautiful soul throughout our 42-year journey. So I want to tell you just a little bit about Julie before she joins me on the platform, and we're going to have an intimate conversation about her very special journey. But Julie is the provider liaison for Healthy Start Coalition of Hillsborough County. She is responsible for providing training and resources for obstetricians and midwives and other maternal health specialists. She is also a certified health coach and exercise guru for some 30 years. She has helped countless women to achieve their health and wellness goals. My dear friend has been on a journey of her own for wellness and self care, as I said, for 30 years, but most recently, since 2018, when she had her kidney transplant, God appointed her on another journey. So I want to bring her into the studio right now and have her tell her story. Hey, Julie. Julie, you are on mute.
I'm following instructions and muting myself when I'm off camera, but sorry.
That's okay. I'm loving that red top, ma'am.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. I want to say first, congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you,
Yes,
Julie.
I'm so proud of you and what you've done. This is remarkable. And I'm so excited to be a guest today. It took you
Well,
long enough.
on my second anniversary, I could not think of a better story. Our series most recently has been Triumph Over Tragedy. And when I think about you, Julie, and I think about your resilience, and I think about your light, and I think about your smile. I mean, as I've often told you, your laughter is contagious. Sometimes you're laughing, I don't know why you're laughing, but I start laughing too. And you have been that person consistently for the 42 years that I've known you, even when we were online.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
won't talk about that. Hey, but what we will talk about is the fact that we're getting ready to meet our line sisters
Yes,
in
yes,
Miami.
yes, 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 a reunion, a mini reunion. I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. So we are headed Miami bound in the morning. You're leaving out this
This
evening
evening, yep,
after this
right
talk.
after this.
Right after this. So this is just to be transparent. We usually talk on Sunday mornings, great Sunday mornings, but this is not that. This is Thursday. And
Right.
this is going to be a great conversation. So, Julie, as I said when I was introducing you, you are simply amazing. You are a wife, you are a mother, you are a first lady of a church.
Yes.
You are definitely my inspiration. We were just talking about beach attire, so none of that for me, but you are
Girl,
amazing in your, you wear our age well.
thank
But
you.
you've also embarked on another journey over the last, some 20 years as this started, and I want you to tell us about that. But most recently, the last 4
Yeah.
and last 3, where you had a kidney transplant.
Yes, yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, you know what? Before I get started, there's a scripture verse that I want to share that is kind of my motto, if you will. If you can make a scripture verse your motto, it's from Corinthians 4, 2 Corinthians 4, verses 8 through 10. And it says, "We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies." And I love that scripture because many times as individuals, we can feel like things are happening to me. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? But being a child of God, I know that we can expect trouble in our lives, and it's how we handle it that makes a difference. So, just to talk about, to answer your question, back in 2002, I have lupus. So, and I had been doing fine with it prior to 2002 when I had a large flare up. I had a big flare up. I was in the hospital. And at that point, I was having a lot of organ difficulty. I actually had pericarditis, which is inflammation around the heart. And I also had pleurisy, which is inflammation in the lungs. And then also I was having some kidney issues. And the issues that I was experiencing after I got out of the hospital related to my kidneys continued. And so that in 2002 started this long process of slow deterioration of my kidneys. And probably about, I'll say about 6 or 7 years ago, my kidney doctor said to me, "You need to be nice to everyone you know, because you may need a kidney transplant." And in my mind, I had decided that my husband, he also agreed that he would be my donor. But once he was tested, we found out that he could not be my donor for my kidney for me. So we were back to the drawing board. And as it turned out, while I was in the transplant program, they made it really simple for me as a person who needed a kidney to talk to people about the need that I had. So basically, I would share the information. We shared it with our church, kind of shared it broadly with the church. But a couple days after I shared that information with our church, one of my good friends gave me a call. Her name is Allison McCoy. And she asked me if there was anything that I needed prayer about. And I hadn't talked to her in a while, probably a few months, but she called me and asked me that question. And I said, "You know what? You can pray, because we just announced to the church that I need a kidney. I'm in need of a kidney. My kidney is failing." And she said, "Okay, what do you have to do to find out if you can donate?" And I gave her the phone number that the hospital had given me. And basically she could call to find out the information. So I didn't know if she would call or not. I wasn't sure what happened after our conversation. But a week later, she called me and said, "Guess what? I am a match." And I was like, "Really?" And so she said, "Yes, I'm a match." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Allison, I can't believe that." So she started the journey to, be processed to donate a kidney to me. And it was a long journey for her too. She had all these medical tests that she had to go to regularly. She had to get blood work. She had to get chest x-rays and all kinds of things to be sure she was healthy enough to donate a kidney to someone. So it was a long process for her. And as it turned out, we, back in 2019, October 2019, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary in October. We had the surgery and I have her kidney now. So that's the short version of that story.
So I want to unpack a little bit of that.
Okay.
For our audience, to give them some context.
Okay.
So Allison was someone you already knew. She did not attend your church, but you guys had gone to like a Bible study over the years
She
together.
was a Bible study leader. Yes, she was a Bible study leader, and I was in that group for 11 years. We were in
Okay.
a Bible study group
So
together.
that's how you guys met.
That's how we met. Yes. But
And,
we weren't in the Bible study group when this happened.
right.
Yeah.
And I think it's important maybe to know that Allison isn't a woman of color.
No, she is not. And many people believe that you have to be the same race to be a match. And that's obviously not true, because I'm living proof that I have Allison's kidney in me. And actually, if I'm honest, when we talk about our kidney numbers, my kidney, the kidney she gave me, is doing better than the kidney that she has. Just a little. I mean, when we look at numbers, it's not a competition or anything, but yeah. So she gave me a really good kidney.
So I don't know if you're privy to conversations she may have had with her spouse or her family, but what were those conversations like around her giving you a kidney that she may need at some point in time, or another family may need? Were you in those conversations?
I wasn't a part of any of the conversations, but Allison has a twin sister. Her sister Heather was also a part of our Bible study group. And Allison and Heather are twins. And Allison said to me one day, she said, if I need a kidney, I'm sure Heather would give me hers. So that's how she kind of solved that problem. I'm sure her family was probably a little hesitant about this whole surgery, because this is major surgery and she's taken out an organ to give to someone else. So I'm sure they were, probably not that thrilled. But, Allison, obviously, she is a believer. She's a Christian woman. And she felt like God was telling her to do this. So she had to be obedient.
And Julie, when you gave her the information, if I remember correctly, you didn't give it to her thinking she was going to act upon it. You thought she was going to share it with others on your behalf, correct?
Yes. Because that's how we were giving the information at our church. We were sharing it so we could share it broadly, as broad as possible. I know one of the things that the transplant coordinator that I was working with said to me when we first got into the transplant program, if you will, she said, you guys don't have anything to worry about. You're a part of a church. You are going to find a donor. And I thought that was really interesting that she said that. But she's worked with kidney transplant recipients for many years. So I'm sure she's seen something and is aware that people who are a part of a church find donors easily.
So I really first of all, I was intrigued by your donor. I have to be honest. When you told us, I think we had just come back from a reunion in October of 2018. We were all together. And I just remember getting a call from one of our line sisters, Amani, I believe it was, and saying, we need to pray for Julie. This is going on. And we just started rallying and we started praying. And then we learned who your donor was. We were like, wow, if that's not the most selfless act, because you're used to your family. I think you had already said your husband was going to be that person. Well, that's kind of a given. I remember my daughter, we thought she was going to need kidney transplant surgery. So I had already signed up to be that donor when her kidney function came back enough for her to be sustained for the remainder of her life, as you know. But I mean, I don't want to say a stranger, but someone that isn't in your immediate family group or friend group. We were in awe of Allison. So when we saw the pictures, which we're showing right there on the screen now, we were like, oh, Julie. And she is not of color. And you were like, no. And we were like, wow, that blew us away.
Yeah. Allison and I have known each other for years. I can't remember exactly when I started in this Bible study. It's called Bible Study Fellowship. But my very first year in Bible Study Fellowship was the year after I was in the hospital with that flare up that I talked about earlier in 2002. So I guess I started in 2003. And here's the thing, and I like to look at this from kind of a spiritual perspective and also God doing what he does. In 2002, as I said, I had the flare up. In 2003, I started in Bible Study Fellowship, which is a international Bible study group for men and women. And I started in 2003. And for years prior to that, I had wanted to be a part of Bible Study Fellowship, but I was busy. I was working full time. I had kids. I had all of these other things going on. So I really never had the time. But after this flare up, I wasn't working. I couldn't go back to work right away because I still wasn't fully well. So I started in the Bible Study Fellowship. And actually, during my first year in Bible Study Fellowship, I wasn't even well enough to go regularly and consistently. But my leader in that group, she would bring me food for dinner because she knew that I was still kind of weak and things like that. And I just fell in love with the fellowship of those women who were part of that group. And Allison wasn't my leader at the time, but there was another woman who was my leader at the time. And they didn't even know me. But that first year, they were really taking care of me, even though I wasn't, I was brand new to this group. So I kind of saw that as God actually gave me the time to be a part of this group, knowing in the future, I would need this group to sustain me because I would need a kidney from someone in this group. I know God knew this well in advance. I didn't know, but because I was obedient and was following just the unction that I had to go to this Bible study and to have this Bible study be the source of my kidney, my life-sustaining kidney, was just amazing to me.
So, Julie, you said so much right there, but as the young people say, that part,
that part, yes.
Part, it was not for you to know. It was for you to do and be obedient. And it sounds like that's what you did in your busy life when God sat you down and said, okay, be still. You recognize I need a source higher than me, my power, my will, orchestrating and planning every second.
Right. Exactly.
Right? I'm talking to me right now, planning every second, because that's an inside joke for yesterday, right?
Yes,
yeah.
you.
Yeah, that right there. And he put you in a space where you met people outside of your circle, outside of what you would normally be. And because he knew what your role was going to be like on so many levels.
On so many levels. Yes. So many layers. That's what it is. Just layers on layers.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So now you have this new kidney. Tell us about that. The last 3 years, what has that been like?
The last 3 years have really been a journey in itself. Starting with the surgery. Actually, there were complications with my surgery. And this is kind of a medical sort of, how we talk about listening to Black women and people don't hear us, they don't see us and that kind of thing. So one of the complication that I had after my surgery, not to get too graphic, but there was blood that I didn't think should be coming out or whatever. And I kept saying to the doctors, should this be still bleeding? Should it still be bleeding? Should it still be? Every doctor who walked into my room said, yeah, it's fine. You just had surgery. It's fine. You just had surgery. And so it wasn't until I was actually about to be discharged. We were going through the discharge process. They were kind of unhooking me from everything, showing me about my medications and things like that, that I tried to stand up and I passed out. And at that moment, it became this big kind of emergency. They were calling in people, stat this, stat that, people were coming in because I had been losing blood for days and no one really listened to me say, is this right? Should this be like this? So I had to go back into surgery. They had to open me up again and find out the source of the bleeding. So that was a kind of a traumatic sort of piece of the surgery, but obviously I got all recovered from that and everything's fine with that part of it. But since that time, getting out of the hospital, of course, it's been a learning process. But the beauty of it is that I was able to get right back into my regular life after I was off work for 5 months. So my surgery was in October 2019. I was off work until March of 2020. And we all know what happened in March of 2020, the pandemic. My first day back to work was March 16th. And they sent me right home because they were closing the office, they were closing everything down. And granted, before I went back to work and right after my surgery, I had to wear a mask everywhere I went because right after surgery, especially with the medications that I'm on and everything, I had to wear a mask for months. And then one day, probably about 4 months after my surgery, they said, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. But in March, of course, I had to start wearing a mask again, like everybody else in the world, so to speak. So that was interesting. And now today, the only downside to the transplant situation is I'm considered immune compromised or some immune suppressed because I take medications to suppress my immune system so that my body won't reject my new kidney. So I have to take medications for that. So that means that I'm still wearing a mask. I still have to be super careful around people and things like that because my body, the vaccines really don't work for me and that kind of thing. So that's the only drawback right now in this age of the pandemic. Even though people say it's over, for me, it's still, I still have to deal with it.
Like we just shared with our audience that we're getting together as girlfriends, but as girlfriends who love one another and of course love you, we want to keep us all safe and especially you. So we're taking those precautions.
Yes.
To that. So that's what the Sister Covenant talks about, being vigilant and living life. You've not stopped living life, but doing it responsibly. And
yes, definitely.
doing it responsibly and carefully. So you are a fitness guru, and I don't think you missed a beat, but I think you leveled up since your kidney. So talk to us a little bit about you living your best life since your kidney.
Yeah, so I did, before I had my transplant, I was a personal trainer and I taught exercise classes at gym, LA Fitness, and different places around this area. And actually, since that, I have now just moved everything online. I'm not doing anything in person, so to speak, but I still personal train. I do online trainings. I do online Zooms. I work out on my own. So it's something that I've always enjoyed. I can't say, I don't understand why. I know people, think it's kind of a different kind of thing, but for me, it's just something I like doing and I always have. So that's been something that is a part of my life. And I think it always will be as long as I can do it,
So we share another club other than our sorority club.
Yeah.
We've lost children.
Yeah.
And in the middle of all of this, the resilience, Julie, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The resilience of understanding what you said in the beginning. We're here, going back to your mantra, that is that scripture.
Right.
It's resilience. It's how God allows us to go through. He doesn't create these situations, but he allows us, and he says, if you just, believe and do what I ask, then it's how I will prepare you to go through that journey. So how do you channel that resilience that you've had to over the 40 plus years?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been because I know that God has said in his word that we will have trouble. We will have trials. We will have trouble. And we don't know what those troubles may be. And even though, you lean on him, you trust in him, you walk with him, you know that he is sovereign, and anything that you go through, he is going through with you. So I think that that's how I've been able to get through. But like I said, like I read that passage, it says we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. So we continue, even though we may feel the pain of these afflictions, or we may feel the despair that comes with the difficult situations we have in our lives. It does not stop us from knowing that God is with us, and no matter what happens, He's always there. And I think that that has been what has given me the resilience, because again, just knowing in His Word, He says that that's what we should expect. It's not like, why is this happening to me? I mean, why not me? It's happening. This is life. And we know that there is a better life prepared for us and waiting for us. So that's the hope that we have as believers. And I think that that's really a really important way to live.
So why not you? That's right. And you can tell the story. It's big. It's bigger than you, right? It's bigger than me. It's
Exactly.
bigger than you, and
Yeah.
it's bigger than me. So if you could speak to anybody right now, Julie, and I know you've done that because I've called you and say, hey, I got a friend that needs a transplant. Would you talk to him? What would you say to that person that's beginning their journey? Maybe they're being told you may need this transplant, whatever it is, kidney or another organ.
Mhm.
And we know in our culture, the African American culture, it's not as embraced, if you will. What would you say to that person to help them as they begin that journey?
I think one of the things as we get older, we know that things change with our bodies. Many African Americans have high blood pressure, diabetes. Those are two common illnesses that are connected to possibly the need for transplants. So I think it's before you get to that point about possibly needing a transplant, just be sure you're monitoring your health. After I went through that flare up, I was followed by a nephrologist, which is a kidney doctor, for all those years. I never missed my appointments. I took the medications they told me to do. I did everything that they said. So when I went into this transplant situation, I knew what was going to happen. They knew in advance, they knew years in advance that I was going to need a transplant. And because they were charting my health along the way. So that made that whole transition, because we were talking about it for years before it happened. And my husband and I had already, as we said, planned that he would be the donor. So just being able to have good medical care around you if you can. I mean, some people don't have that luxury, but as good of medical care as you can, I think is really important in that journey. Making sure that your doctors and everyone who's around you is aware and alert, and also at the level of the common, what am I trying to say? A person who knows what is going on right now in the medical industry. That's what you need on your corner, really.
Someone that is competent, but not just competent, someone that's on their game.
Yes,
They
definitely.
know what they're doing and they're at the cutting edge of whatever the medical advancements are. Because we know what was 20 years ago, we're at a different place now.
Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely.
So, Julie, again, you are the picture of health. One of the things I heard you say is you had been on your health fitness journey since you found out in 2002. So you didn't
Yep.
just start that when it was time to get the kidney. So that's something I hope our audience takes away, that you had started watching what you ate. We talked about that when I started, my journey on not eating meat and this kind of thing. So that too, in our culture, we know we got to watch our numbers, all of them, to make sure
Right.
we are on task. And I have to think that you weathered this transplant better than some because you were already healthy when you started that piece of it.
Yeah, I think that that is important to be mindful of what you're eating. As I said earlier, I started fitness training and doing all the classes and things like that more than 30 years ago. It's probably been about 30 years. I started in my 30s teaching classes and, training women and that kind of thing. So that is very important, making sure you're eating healthy, getting rest, not smoking, not drinking in excess. Those kind of things are really important to keep your body as strong as possible, even though for me, I knew I had some health issues. But that also helped me to, from the 2002 to 2019, to be able to sustain my little weak kidneys for that long. It really, my doctor was amazed that my kidneys, even though they started deteriorating in '02, were able to last as long as they did. And I attribute that to just trying to be as healthy as possible in the face of what was going on with me.
Julie, you are a miracle. But more than that, God is in your life and he has a hand on you, and you are a light to so many. I am honored to be among those that I hope you call friend.
Girl, yes, you know, you're my friend. Morning, friends. We are sisters.
We are sisters. I love you, my sister, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in just a few
Yes,
in,
ma'am,
in
Pat.
South
Thank
Florida.
you.
Love you. Thank you. Thank
Love
you.
you too. Thank you. And I really am just so pleased to be here today. Thank you so much.
You travel safely. See you soon. Love you.
Right. All right. Bye-bye.
I am just full right now because, again, when you think about meeting people at 20, you don't think about what that relationship is going to be like some 40 plus years later. And this woman has been the same person I met on the hills of Tallahassee 40 years ago, but her story and her resilience and her ability to smile and laugh through it all is a testament to the resilience and how we can be better. We can be better, even in the face of challenges and tragedy, which she has gotten on the other side of. So, my sisters, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you again for being with me on this 2-year journey. And we have many more mountains to climb, and we have many more stories and testimonies to tell. And we will be together and better for it as we continue this journey together. So, as always, be bold, be brilliant, be brave, my sisters. You are all so very beautiful. Be vigilant, take care of yourself, and be blessed.